What's going on, everybody? It's just another day in the kitchen, back with another episode. In today's video, we're taking a look at Travis Scott's Highest in the Room merch a whole 5 years later, while also taking a look at some crazy Days Before Rodeo merch. Now, before we get started, I want to give a special shout out to the homie Strained Beats, who's been cooking up the beats for these videos, so make sure you guys check them out. And while you're here, you might as well drop a like and subscribe and join our free Discord to stay up to date with the latest and the greatest. Shout out to all of my chefs in there. Now, it's just over 5 years ago this week that Travis Scott, aka LaFlame, would tease the fans, letting them know that his latest single, Highest in the Room, would be releasing soon, as you guys can see on this Instagram post. And unlike artists that typically lie when they say soon, Cardi, Travis would actually release this banger of a single 5 years ago on October 4th, 2019. And as is tradition of LaFlame here, he would of course release a collection of merch in support of this single, kicking things off with the following Highest in the Room Cactus Jack hat, which 5 years later is only going to run you about $80 if you're curious on getting your hands on it today. Now, next up in this Highest in the Room drop, we have several different versions of the actual single that are available as collectible items, with not only different versions of the single available as a standalone vinyl, which is kind of rare, but LaFlame would also have the single available in the CD format, as well as the cassette, which I think is always dope and a cool throwback to the past. And while you might be watching this video and wondering just why there are so many versions of the single available, this was during a very different time in the music industry in which many major artists such as Travis were using merch bundles to inflate their album sales, even though artists such as himself really didn't need to. Now, next up in this collection, we have the following Highest in the Room alien-themed t-shirt, which, as you guys can see from several of the different vinyl covers, is definitely one of the central themes throughout this collection. And while I wasn't able to get an exact timetable on the shipping for this collection, it looks like most of the pieces, from what I can tell online, were shipping within 6 to 8 weeks, which 5 years later, as you can tell, is pretty much the same as we've seen today. Now, as for my favorite piece of merch from this collection, as well as one of my top 10 favorite pieces of Travis merch, we have the following tie-dye tee, which surprisingly will only run you between $60 and $110 on average, and given that the retail was initially $50, I'd say it's a pretty good deal for one of my all-time favorite pickups. Now, last but not least, to wrap up this wave of merch for this collection, we also have the following Sun hoodie, which initially retailed for $85 and today will run you between $100 and about $200 depending on your size. Now, like I just mentioned, that wraps up this wave in particular, and as we've come to love of most Travis Scott merch drops, he would actually drop another wave in support of this latest single, with the following 100% off title t-shirt, which also features the branding of the title on the back there, and also a little graphic on the front which mentions that they paid for the shirt in Rage. And if you thought there wasn't going to be yet another way to support the actual single, there would also be another special edition vinyl, which I honestly really dig. As you can see, it's kind of a play on the Jordan Jumpman logo, which also features some spikes on it, which is of course very reminiscent of Travis Scott's Cactus Jack branding. Now, with all that being said, I just wanted to throw today's video together for all of my chefs and ragers who of course didn't know that Travis has been cooking up merch bundles in support of singles for quite some time, with the most recent of course being the Mo City Flexologist pack that we just saw. And although it feels like Travis Scott's Astroworld era was a whole 10 years ago at this point, I think that this collection is a nice reminder of what we had at the time. Because I think it's safe to say that Travis Scott leveled up every aspect of his career, jumping from the Birds era to the Astroworld era. And when looking back, I can't help but feel nostalgic and just happy to be part of the ride in the rodeo at this point. Now, like I mentioned in the intro of the video, for this next portion, I just want to address some of the quality control issues we've been seeing with some of the Days Before Rodeo merch, as a lot of ragers and fans have been sharing that the items they've been receiving in the mail are vastly different from the advertised products that were available on Travis's website, with many receiving their Days Before Rodeo hoodie without having an acid wash. And while this is a different era, the Travis Scott T-Rex gloves that were initially advertised a little after the Utopia era have been arriving, and let's just say they're extremely different from what was advertised. Which on one hand isn't the biggest deal in the world, but of course no one wants to wait weeks or months for their Travis merch to arrive only for it to be vastly different from what you thought you were ordering. Now, as always guys, thank you so much for cooking with the kitchen, and let me know what you guys think about this one in the comments. If you ended up picking up any of the original merch from the Highest in the Room drop 5 years ago, let us know in the comments. And if your Days Before Rodeo merch has also arrived in less than great condition, let us know, as I'm sure you're not the only one. And if you guys want me to throw together a little update video on the Travis Scott jerseys, as I have seen some in hand, let me know in the comments. And as always, remember to stay safe out there, and remember, it's lit. Straight up, and peace.